Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's get into it. I'm Kenyatta, the architect. On this channel, we build and destroy simultaneously, for there can be no resurrection without destruction. Uh, Once again, I'm Kenyatta, but you will refer to me as Miss Kenyatta, Goddess, Queen, Empress, okay? The Divine One. I'm here in most holy. She that abounds. These are just some things I'm here. I'm just having fun, all right? But anyway, okay, once again, I have no enemies. The enemies of God are defeated. Love and goodwill taken care of within. Eliminates that without, what I say, the enemies of God are defeated. But since God is the creator, both the good and the evil, God has no enemies. It's man-made. All right. All right. Nevertheless, who's ever in here, hello. All right. But as well, I won't be tolerating anyone being common with me or anyone who genuinely supports me on this platform, and most definitely won't be tolerating anyone's bully-ish. All right. All right. All right, let me see glasses. What I want to do tonight is I'm not going to do a reading tonight. I'm just going to finish these. We're talking about the Kybalion few weeks ago. Okay, and the 7 hermetic principles. I think I stopped at 3. Okay, so we're just gonna, I want to finish those. Okay, I don't want to leave that hanging. All right, but of course I'm not going to read the whole book. I would like to. There's still some aspects that I need to finish myself. Well, not aspects, there's some chapters I need to finish myself. Okay, um let's see, last chapter I read, I think, was polarity, which is chapter 10. Yeah, I don't see any more anything else underlined. So I want to finish this, make myself finish this, okay? But let's get into it. We're going to finish these books tonight, okay? And then, go ahead and get the book yourself, all right? But here we have principle 4, the principle of polarity, okay? In quotes, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree, okay? Extremes meet. Oh, well, look at that. Confirmation. Let me see. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. The Kybalion. It's interesting because it says everything is dual, everything has its poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Yet, okay, like and unlike are the same. Like and unlike are the same. Okay, so that's where sometimes you may hear people say there is no duality, it's all the same. However, what it says, opposites are identical in nature. Okay, it's the same, but what makes it different? Different in degree. Yet extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes can be reconciled. I like to liken it to, like, for example, when I used to teach religious studies, and this would come up, talk about like hot water and cold water. Okay, what does it say? Extremes meet. They're the same. They're water. Okay, but they are in different degrees. Okay, what divides it? What divides it? You understand? What divides night and day? Okay. Um. Okay. Let's see. Sun up, sun down. Okay. While it's setting in one part of the world, it's rising in another. Okay. The day is the day. All right. Now let me see something for a second here. Okay. I'm looking up something. Paradox, a seemingly absurd or self contradictory statement or proposition that, when investigated or explained, may prove to be well founded or true. Okay. So what does it say? All paradoxes, okay, may be reconciled. All right. This principle embodies the truth that everything is dual, everything has two poles, everything has its pair of opposites. All right. It explains the old paradoxes that have perplexed so many, which have been stated as follows: thesis and antithesis are identical in nature. They are identical, but different in degree. Opposites are the same, they only differ in degree. Okay. The pair of opposites may be reconciled. Once again, extremes meet. They meet. What divides them? There is no like dividing line. Okay. All right. Um, everything is and isn't. That is all yet nothing at all. Okay. Uh, everything is and isn't at the same time. All right. All truths are but half truth. Every truth is half false. There are two, in other words, there are two sides to everything, etc., etc., etc. It explains that in everything there are two poles or opposite aspects, and that opposites are really only the two extremes of what? Thank you for the one thumbs up. Are only two extremes of what? The same thing. Okay. With many varying degrees between them. There are varying degrees between them, but not this stark stop and start. Okay, to illustrate, here it is: heat and cold. Okay, like I said, hot water, cold water, heat and cold. Opposites are really the same thing. The difference is consisting merely of degrees of the same thing. It's so interesting that I'm seeing this because today, um, earlier, I was thinking about this show that used to come on. Maybe it was Land of the Lost. I can't remember, but it was one of them 70s shows. And we used to watch it. Me and my sibling used to watch it. I remember they were on, it was a family, I believe, they were out of space and whatnot and going on these adventures out of space on different planets. And I remember one of the characters, the son, he picked up. I don't know what planet or wherever they were at. I don't know, but I just remember him picking up this little white stone, and he dropped it. He said, "It's so hot," or was it? He either said, "It's so hot, it's cold," or "It's so cold, it's hot." And I remember when I looked at that, thinking to myself, "Yeah," I was probably like about 7 or 8 years old. Yeah, like remember taking a bath. Remember feeling the water at times where it felt so hot, it felt cold. Okay, but that is like, or it was either the opposite around. I can't remember, but it was extreme. All right, all right. So once again, heat and cold, although opposites, are really the same thing. They're the same thing. The difference is consisting merely of degrees of the same thing. Okay. Okay. Look at your thermostat and see if you can discover where heat terminates and cold begins. Exactly. That's just what I was saying. Okay. There's no dividing line that says, okay, now it's cold or now it's hot. No. You understand what I'm saying? There are varying degrees in between. Okay. Um, there's no such thing as absolute heat or absolute cold. Okay. The terms heat and cold simply indicate varying degrees of the same thing. That same thing which manifests itself as heat and cold is merely a form, variety, and what? Rate of vibration. We went over the principle of, did we go over vibration? Yeah, that was the last one that I did. Okay, the rate of vibration, the principle of vibration. Okay, so heat and cold are simply the two poles of that which we call heat, and the phenomena attendant thereupon are manifestations of the principle of polarity. The same, just talked about it. Okay, the same principle manifests in the case of what? Light and darkness. I was just talking about it, which are what? The same thing. The difference consisting of varying degrees between the two poles of the phenomena. Where does darkness leave off and light begin? Exactly. Okay, there is no start. Okay, now it's not no longer day. Now it's not. There are varying degrees, okay, of the day and of the night. If you don't generally pay attention, you're going along through the day, and it just seems like it's the day, it's the same, till before you know it, sun's going down and it starts to get dusk and then night. Okay, but I don't know if it's meteorologists who can see this or how they pick it up. Okay, but even they will show you the difference between during the day. If it was to be slowed down, film and slowed down, you would see the difference during the day between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock and how it's starting to get darker. But you don't just generally see it when you're out there in general. Okay, let me see. Where does darkness leave off and light begin? What is the difference between large and small, hard and soft, black and white, sharp and dull, noise and quiet, high and low, positive and negative? Okay, and then you have this idea too of things being relative. The principle of polarity explains these paradoxes, and no other principle can supersede it. The same principle operates on the mental plane. Let's take a look at the radical and extreme example, that of love and hate. It's a thin line between love and hate. All right. That of love and hate, two mental states, apparently totally different. Apparently totally different. And yet, there are degrees of hate and degrees of love, and a middle point in which we use the terms like or dislike, which shade into each other so gradually. Here, these things are gradual, the varying degrees in between the extremes. Okay, gradually, that sometimes we are at a loss to know whether we like or dislike or neither. You felt like that before. You know, well, you're not quite sure how you feel about it. I like it sometimes don't. I have a love-hate relationship with this, that, and the other, etc. Okay. I don't feel no way about it. Or. And all are simply degrees of what? The same thing. Okay. And you will see, if you will, but think a moment, think about it. And more than this, and considered of more importance by the Hermeticists, it is possible to change the vibrations of hate to vibrations of love in one's own mind and in the minds of others. This is true. Okay. Um, Let me see. Many of you who read these lines have had personal experiences of the involuntary rapid transition from love to hate and the reverse. In your own case and that of others. I remember when I was in seminary, and I spoke to you all before. In order to keep my scholarship, I had to go to a Kojic church that gave me the scholarship. I went to this church. I couldn't find a church that I like. I went to this church, the Dean's Church. I hated it. I hated it. I did not like it there. It was not anything like what I was used to. Came home, Christmas break, okay, talked to my pastor, got a new attitude. Instead of uh, blocking myself off from the experience, when I went back, I decided, okay, I'm just gonna jump in all the way in, full steam ahead, and I did. I got so involved. I made sure I went Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night Bible study. I got on helped with the what was it called, adjutant. I started working in the youth department. Okay, did a play, directed the play, just did all kind of stuff. We had young people over, and we would go do stuff with the for the mothers and all that kind of stuff. Just made myself get involved to the point where I loved it so much. That first semester, I was like, I hate it. I would get up in the middle of service, walk. I don't like this. Protesting. I didn't like it. I hated it. Okay, but then I changed my attitude, changed my perspective, and made myself hell. I had to be there for 3 years, you know what I'm saying? And made myself jump in full steam ahead. And before you knew, I loved it, to the point that when I graduated, I hated leaving the church, because I was leaving the area. Okay, so or some of you may feel that experience in relationships. We talk about that a lot, where there were things about a person that you might have loved, okay, before you knew, you hated those things about that person. Okay. um all right. Or maybe you met somebody, and I had this experience where me and this person were just friends, but I did not like this person. It was so silly. I thought it was so silly and so ridiculous. I just couldn't stand him. Okay. And he knew I couldn't stand him. So he would purposely always get in my face, hey, and I'll just give him the meanest, nastiest look, like, get away from me, I can't stand you. Before I know it, me and him became the best of buddies. Okay, so, and you find that sometimes maybe someone you end up in a romantic relationship with, that you couldn't stand that person. Okay, but all right, so here we see that here. And you will therefore realize the possibility of this being accomplished by the use of the will. Okay, by means of the Hermetic formulas. You therefore realize the possibility of this being accomplished by the use of the will, my will, okay, to change it, to change me, my perspective, how I was looking at it, okay, and what I decided to do with myself, my will, your will. Good and evil are but poles of the same thing. That's why you will hear some people say there's no such thing. Okay, it's good and evil. Okay, it's the same thing. It depends on the person's perspective. Some things it's kind of hard for me to reconcile. I understand this, but some things it's kind of hard for me to reconcile. That seems pretty damn evil to me. A particular thing. It's like, yes, it does. And I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but to the person who may be committing certain things, depending on, you have to hear their, when I say you have to hear their perspective, I'm not saying you have to hear their perspective to say, oh, okay, it's not evil, I get it now. No, but it is their perspective, in that at that it does for them, it's not evil. Okay, because, and the same thing with good. Okay, the same thing with good. Okay, where from their particular viewpoint and as they see things, sometimes people can, it's kind of scary. Okay, the way people can explain things, it's like that movie Seven, for example. Okay, people looking at this motherfucker's evil. Okay, just like Saw, this motherfucker's evil. Okay, but from the perspective of why they were doing what they were doing, they felt that they did not look at it as evil. This person is a selfish bastard, a selfish motherfucker. They don't know, they don't appreciate what they have, and they don't appreciate who they are. Except, like Seven was based off the seven deadly sins. Okay, let's keep on going. Okay, good and evil, and if you pay attention and really listen, it's like, and not just looking at it for the, the what is it, the gore aspect of it, okay, and say, "Oh, that motherfucker's crazy," Or it's another great example is a lot of those movies with the villains, the quote unquote villains, and you hear their reasoning, and it's like, makes some motherfucking sense, doesn't it? When you look at the heroes, and it's like they're just trying to keep the status quo, where the villain is coming in the status quo. This needs to be changed, okay? And you may say, well, the way they're going about it is wrong, but again, from their particular perspective, okay, it is not, okay? I'm saying it is not to them, all right? But the good is not necessarily good to them either, all right? All right, good and evil are but the poles of the same thing. And the Hermetic understands the art of transmuting evil into good by means of an application of the principle of polarity. In short, the art of polarization becomes a phase of what? Mental alchemy, all right? Mental alchemy, changing your perspective, how you see it, your worldview, your thought process, okay? Known and practiced by the ancient and modern Hermetic masters. An understanding of the principle will enable one to change his own polarity, once again, okay? Your will, perspective, as well as that of others. Again, you pay attention to those stories, why those men or villains or women, whatever they may be, are doing what they're doing. It can change, okay, the mind of others who are on the opposite side. Once you hear their argument and their perspective, it's like, okay, what side do you really stand on? Okay, you may not really truly know until you are challenged, okay, and are living in your own self, as opposed to what is being thrown at us, and us being told this is how it should be. All right. If he will devote the time and study necessary to what? To master the art. But that takes what? That's mastering the self. Okay. The self. Okay. Mental alchemy. Your mind. You ain't in the mind of nobody else. Yourself. All right. The principle of rhythm. Fifth principle here. In quotes, everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates, the Kybalion. Okay, everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. Everything. All things, all things rise and fall. We see that when we study the history of the world. All things rise and falls and back again. All right. That's when we talk about time being cyclical, not linear. Okay. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The pendulum is going to swing both ways. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Let's get into this here. The principle embodies the truth that in everything is there is manifested a measured motion to and fro, a flow and inflow, a swing backward and forward, a pendulum like movement, a tide like ebb and flow, a high tide and low tide, which we just saw is the same thing, all right, between the two poles, which exists in accordance with the principle of polarity described a moment ago. This is so interesting. They're talking about they're using the pendulum swing, okay, because many of us use a pendulum. Pendulum can fool your motherfucking ass. I used to give a class on it, okay? But anyway, it can fool your motherfucking ass if you don't know how to question it, all right? Um, and what are we seeing here? That we just saw that the principle of what? The principle of polarity, okay? Yes and no is the same thing. Oh, the queer, you know what I'm saying? It's the same motherfucking thing. Okay, but anyway, you have to know how to work with it. Okay, it's not a simple 1, 2, 3, very easy. That motherfucker can fool you. Okay, and once again, okay, it takes what do you say? Mastering the art. Okay, even mastering the art of using a pendulum. Okay, you have to know how to speak to you. It will teach you communication, how to communicate, and how to communicate effectively, to mean what you say and to say what you mean. You can ask that motherfucker question. And it'll tell you no, and from the little things, it is yes. 20 years ago, it used to frustrate the hell out of me to the point sometimes I would put it down, I throw it across the room. Get so mad at it or whatever, okay? And then every time I was like, what did I do? Okay. I changed my own polarity. You can't be acting like that with it, okay? Really, because the answer is coming from yourself. You understand what I'm saying? You are the micro to the macro. I mean, you are, yeah, micro to the macro, okay? But the reality is it is truly giving you the correct answer. But how did you ask the question? All right. Sometimes you can change one word, okay, from the to or something like that. Okay, and it can change the answer. Okay, it is something of a, I feel like high intelligence. Okay, but it's coming from yourself, your higher self, a high your higher self, your higher intelligence, your higher you. Okay, not the 3D thing. Okay, especially in a world realm where we really don't communicate with one another well at all. We don't. I feel like though we have lost the art of communication. Okay, how to communicate effectively, okay, with ourselves and with another. It's like what it say, all truths but half truths. Okay, it's like we communicate so half ass, okay, and are truly not honest with ourselves. And sometimes you can want it to be a particular thing. Okay, you have the power. The pendulum is a tool. Okay, it's just like a wand. Okay, the power is in you. The wand directs the power that is flowing from you. It's the same thing with that pendulum. Okay. Um, and you can make that answer be whatever you want it to be, and it not be the quote unquote correct answer, but according to this, it is. Okay. Let's move. Let's keep on going. Okay. Um, a high tide and low tide between the two poles, which exists in accordance with the principle of polarity described a moment ago. There is always an action and a reaction, an advance and a retreat, a rising and sinking always. This is in the affairs of the universe. Suns, worlds, men, animals, mind, energy, and matter. This law is manifest in the creation and destruction of worlds, right? In the rise and fall of what? Nations, in the life of all things, and finally in the mental states of men. All right. And it is with this latter that the Hermeticist finds the understanding of the principle most important. Okay. This is let's I want to read that again. All right. This principle embodies the truth that in everything there is manifested a measured motion to and fro, a flow and inflow, a swing backward and forward, a pendulum like movement, a tide like ebb and flow, a high tide and low tide between the two poles which exist in accordance with the principle of polarity described a moment ago, that it is all the same. It's all the same. The opposites are the exact same, just varying degrees. The no and the yes, it is the same. Okay. Heaven and hell, it is the same. Okay. So heaven, so hellish, it's heavenly, and so heavenly, it's hellish. All right. It's like hell. There is always an action and a reaction, an advance and a retreat, always a rising and a sinking. This is not something that can be escaped. Why? Here, this is in the affairs of what? The universe, suns, worlds, men, animals, mind, energy, and matter. This law is manifest in the creation and destruction of worlds. This law is manifest where? In the creation and the destruction of worlds. Okay, what do I say on this channel? We destroy and build simultaneously. There can be no resurrection without destruction. It's the same thing. All right. The law is manifest in the creation of and destruction of worlds, in the rise and fall of nations, in the life. That's why I say we see this acted out and played out historically in the history of our world. Okay, nations rise, they fall, yet they rise again, and they fall, and yet they rise again. Okay, it's cyclical. It is not linear. All right. In the life of all things. And finally, what? In the mental states of men. I mean, we just see it in weather, okay? And finally, in the mental state of men. And it is with this latter that the Hermeticists find the understanding of the principle most important. The Hermeticists have grasped this principle, finding its universal application, and have also discovered certain means to overcome its effects in themselves by the use of appropriate formulas and methods. They apply the mental law of neutralization. They cannot annul the principle or cause it to cease its operation. Okay, it can't be stopped. Here it is. Your laws. These are the laws, principles. Okay, of the world and realm that we are residing in. Okay, the Hermeticist, the student who becomes the master here, okay, understands that it cannot be stopped, but they have learned how to escape its effects upon themselves to a certain degree, depending upon on what the mastery of the principle. They have learned how to use it instead of being used by it. Okay. In this and similar methods, hold on for a second. Okay. In this and similar methods consists the art of the Hermeticist. The master of Hermetics polarizes himself at the point at which he desires to rest, and then neutralizes the rhythmic swing of the pendulum, which would tend to carry him to the other pole. Okay, to the other side. All individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery do this to a certain degree, more or less consciously, but the master does this consciously. And by the use of his will, by the use of his will, the power is within you. Okay, you make it be. You make it be what you want it to be. Okay, what it need to be being. Okay, and for yourself, and attains a degree of poise and mental firmness almost impossible of belief on the part of the masses who have swung backward and forward like a pendulum. Okay. This principle and that of polarity have been closely studied by the Hermeticists, and the methods of counteracting, neutralizing, and using them form an important part of the Hermetic mental alchemy. Okay. Principle 6, the principle of cause and effect. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. All right. Wait a minute. Okay. The principle of cause and effect. In quotes, every cause has its effect. Okay. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens what? According to law. It's not something you can escape. All right. Or think you're going to outsmart or outdo. Even here, what we were talking about here in the principle of rhythm, what does it say? The master here knows, okay, that they can't stop it. Okay. But in attaining a degree of self-mastery, okay, they are able to kind of maybe slow it down to a degree. Okay, so they just not being swung just wildly to and fro. Okay, and this is done consciously. Okay, all right, not unconsciously. Okay, but it takes a degree of poise and mental firmness. All right, self mastery. Okay, and in order to master the self, you have to master your mind. All right. Okay. Let Okay. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law, not recognized. Mm. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Nothing, no one, nothing. It's the fabric here, okay, or the threading, the foundation, okay, to what has been built, what has been created. It's nothing you can escape, okay? Nothing you can outdo, nothing you can outsmart, okay? The Kybalion. This principle embodies the fact that there is a cause for every effect, and an effect from every cause. It explains everything happens according to what law, that nothing ever quote unquote merely happens, and there is no such thing as chance. What did they say chance was? Chance is just a name for law, not for chance is but a name for law, not recognized. Okay. Happened by chance according to these hermetic principles. No, there's no such thing. Okay, nothing escapes the law. It's not by chance. Okay, chance is just a name people use, that is used for a law that a person does not know or has not recognized, has not come to recognize. Okay, nothing ever merely happens. There is no such thing as chance. It, that while there are various planes of cause and effect, okay, the higher dominating the lower planes, still nothing ever entirely escapes the law. The Hermeticist understands the art and methods of rising above the ordinary plane of cause and effect, to a certain degree. And by mentally rising to a higher plane, they become causers instead of effects. Okay, I like that. And okay, let's read this again. All right. The Hermeticist understands the art. It's art to it, okay. And method to the madness, okay, of rising above the ordinary plane of cause and effect. Okay, they can rise above it. However, only to a certain degree. Why? Because nothing ever escapes the law, cannot be escaped. Okay. And by mentally, again, what was the first principle? The principle of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. We keep seeing this here. Okay. Mental alchemy. Okay. Self mastery of what? The mind here. That's how you master the self. All right. Um, to a certain degree, and by mentally rising to a higher plane, they become the causers instead of effects. All right. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment. Let me hold on for a second. Let me find something here. Okay. All right. Now remember, um, okay, when we read this earlier, I know it's been a few weeks, okay, it talked about these principles being found in all religions, okay. We are talking about it. This just reminds me here when it says here, the masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment, the wills and desires of others stronger than themselves, okay. And what does this scripture say? John 3, that's not John, I'm sorry, Ephesians 4:14, so that we may, I want to, let me see. Okay. that we henceforth be no more children, what? Tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine. By who? By the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. Here's this principle right here. They said, and when we read this earlier, a few weeks back, it said in the beginning, okay, the intro, you're going to find these principles in all religions, okay? Throughout the earth. Okay, once again, that we hint Ephesians 4:14, that we henceforth be no more children. Okay, when I was a man, when I was a child, I, acted like one. When I became a man or an adult, okay, a mature person, I put away childish things, that we henceforth, and when we don't, we are tossed to and fro and carried about with what? Every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. This is what this is saying here, okay? The masses of people are carried along, obedient to environment, the wills and desires of others stronger than themselves. Damn sure we don't see that. Heredity, suggestion, and other outward causes, moving them about like pawns on the chessboard of life, just playing your ass. But the confirmation, but the masters of mastery, okay, few and far between. The masters rising to the plane above dominate their moods, characters, qualities, and powers. We find that in Hinduism, we find that in Buddhism. What? The masters rising to the plane above, like I was saying, the higher self, the higher realm, okay, which dominates the lower. We just read that, okay? They dominate their moods, self-mastery, okay? Mastering the mental self, which is mastering the self, okay? Rising to the plane above. Again, here, changing one's own polarity, okay? Changing one's perception, changing one's understanding that you have the power to do it. Need not come from someone outside of yourself, okay? But it can, okay? But the masters rising to the plane above dominate their moods. They dominate their mood. They control it. They're not controlled by it. Like it said here. Okay. They use it, they're not used by it. They dominate their characters, their qualities and powers, as well as the as well as the environment surrounding them, and become movers instead of pawns. Okay, that's self-mastery here. Okay, so now they are playing the game and not being played. They help to, here it is. Okay, they help to play the game of life instead of being played and moved about by other wills and environment. They use the principle instead of being its tools, instead of being used by it. That's why I say you gotta be careful with that pendulum. Okay. I'm trying to tell you. The masters obey the causation of the higher planes, okay, but they help to rule on their own plane. All right. The masters obey the causation of the higher planes, but they help to rule on their own plane. In this statement, there is condensed a wealth of hermetic knowledge. Let him read who can. In other words, he who hath an ear, let him hear. Okay. Okay, the last one, the principle of gender. All right. In quote, gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes, the Kybalion. This principle embodies the truth that there is gender manifested in everything. That's why you will have languages like Spanish and whatnot. They got the feminine and the masculine words, where we don't really have that in English, okay? The masculine and understand language, okay? And its connection to culture, okay? It's kind of like, what do they say? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? The language or the culture, okay? But anyway, the principle embodies the truth that there is gender manifested in everything, the masculine and feminine principles ever at work. This is true not only of the physical plane, but of the mental and even the spiritual plane. The masculine, what is true here? That the masculine and feminine principles are ever at work. On the physical plane, the principle manifests as sex. On the physical plane, it manifests as sex. On the higher planes, it but what? The principle is the same. No creation, physical, mental, or spiritual is possible without this principle of the feminine and the masculine. It is not possible. No creation, physical, whether it be physical, mental, or spiritual, is possible without this principle of gender, the masculine and the feminine principle. Okay, thus the ankh. Okay, okay. And understanding of its laws will throw light on many a subject. I mean, hell, they even got you see, I've seen pictures of fruit and vegetables where they can show you the masculine green bell pepper and the feminine. Okay, an understanding of its laws will throw light on many a subject that has perplexed the minds of men. The principle of gender works ever in the direction of generation, regeneration, and creation. Everything and every person contains the two elements or principles. Okay. That's what, we hear people talking about, that we all embody masculine and feminine, aspects or principles. Everything and every person contains the, even down to the genitalia. I kind of mentioned it in a video few videos ago. Everything and every person contains the two elements or principles, or this great principle within it, him or her. Every male thing has the female element also. Every female contains also the male principle. Okay. If you would understand the philosophy of mental and spiritual creation, generation, and regeneration, you must understand this Hermetic principle. It contains the solution of many mysteries of life. We caution you that this principle has no reference to the many base, pernicious, and degrading lustful theories, teachings, and practices which are taught under fanciful titles and which are a prostitution of the great natural principle of gender. This ain't got nothing to do with, this any kind of sexual perversion. Once again, on the physical plane, the principle manifests as sex. Okay, but here we caution you. This principle has no reference to the many base, pernicious, and degrading lustful theories, teachings, and practices which are taught under fanciful titles and which are a prostitution of the great natural principle of gender. Such base revivals of the ancient, infamous forms of phallicism tend to ruin mind, body, and soul. And the Hermetic philosophy has ever sounded the warning note against these degraded teachings which tend toward lust, licentiousness, and perversion of nature's principles. Okay, if you seek such teachings, you must go elsewhere for them. Okay. Hermeticism contains nothing for you along these lines. To the pure, all things are pure. To the base, all things are base. All right. So that's just we're done here. Okay, I only read, if you can see, this much of the book to you. All right. Okay, I'm not gonna read the whole book. Unless you want me to put it's some good stuff here. Okay, I got a lot of notes, got a lot of things underlined. I need to finish it myself, okay? But if you'd like for me to continue, reading this, to read the whole thing, let me know. Okay, put it in the comment section, all right? All right. Maybe, okay, there's some good stuff here. Maybe I will read one more chapter. Okay. It's kind of hard though. I want to read the whole thing. All right. But let's see. Let's keep on going, okay? I love this. I love this type of thing. It is just so, it just tastes good to me. Okay. But here we have mental transmutation, chapter 3, in quotes. And we got time. Mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration. True hermetic transmutation is what? A mental art again. Okay. First principle. Okay. Mentalism. The mind, the universe is all, and all is mental. Okay. Self mastery. It's the mastery of the mind. All right. Let's see what we have here. Okay. As we have stated, the Hermeticists were the original alchemists, astrologers, and and psychologists, rather. Hermes having been the founder of these schools of thought. From astrology has grown modern astronomy. Okay? From astrology has grown modern astronomy. From alchemy has grown modern chemistry. From the mystic psychology has grown the modern psychology of the schools. All right, not the other way around. Okay, but it must not be supposed. Okay, good try. Stole my daughter's car mix. Well, she gave it to me because I'm always losing in things. Okay, okay, but it must not be supposed that the ancients were ignorant of that which the modern schools, okay, supposed to be their exclusive and special property. The records engraved on the stones of ancient Egypt show conclusively that the ancients had a full comprehensive knowledge of we, hey, if we don't know that by now, okay, it's just too much information out here. All we gotta do is press a button, boom, right there it is. Okay, now we say that, but sometimes if that's not a focus for you, you may not go looking for that. You understand what I'm saying? But when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. Okay, whether that be through a video or whatever. Okay, um, okay, had a full comprehensive knowledge of astronomy. The very buildings of the pyramids show the connection between their design and the study of astronomical science. Nor were they ignorant of chemistry, for the fragments of the ancient writings show that they were acquainted with the chemical properties of things. In fact, the ancient theories regarding physics are being slowly verified by the latest discoveries of modern science, notably those relating to the constitution of matter. Nor must it be supposed that they were ignorant of the so-called modern discoveries in psychology. On the contrary, the Egyptians, were especially skilled in the science of psychology, particularly in the branches that the modern schools ignore, but which nevertheless are being uncovered under the name of psychic science. Okay, which is perplexing the psychologists of today and making them reluctantly admit that there may be something in it after all. The truth is that beneath the material chemistry, astronomy, and psychology, that is the psychology in its phase of brain action, the ancients possessed a knowledge of transcendental astronomy called astrology, of transcendental, chemistry called alchemy, of transcendental psychology called mystic psychology. They possess the inner knowledge as well as the outer knowledge. Okay. The latter alone being possessed by modern scientists. Among the many secret branches of knowledge possessed by the Hermeticists was that known as mental transmutation, which forms the subject matter of the lesson. Let's get into it. Transmutation is a term usually employed to designate the ancient art of the transmutation of metals, particularly of the base metals, into gold. Now, hold on for a second, my loves. Okay. Okay. Just, I'm gonna look up these words. Okay, not everybody knows, transmutation, the action of changing or the state of being changed into another form. Okay, just that's simple. Okay, let's get into it. Let's stay into this. All right. Um, Okay, transmutation is a term usually employed to designate the ancient art of the transmutation of metals, particularly of the base metals into gold. Okay, the word transmute means to change from one nature, form, or substance into another, to transforms. Webster. Okay, and accordingly, metal transmutation means the art of changing and transforming mental transmutation, I'm sorry, means the art of changing and transforming mental states, forms, and conditions into others. So you may see that mental transmutation is the art of mental chemistry, if you like the term, a form of practical mystic psychology. Okay. But this means far more than appears on the surface. Transmutation, alchemy, or chemistry on the mental plane is important enough in its effects to be sure, and if the art stopped there, it would still be one of the most important branches of study known to man. But this is only the beginning. Let us see why. The first of the seven Hermetic principles is the principle of mentalism, the axiom of which is the all, in all caps, is mind. The all is mind. The universe is mental, which means that the underlying reality of the universe is mind. Okay? The underlying reality of the universe is mind, and the universe itself is mental. That kind of puts me in, I'm thinking of what came across my mind was the Matrix, those pods. Okay? But still, you know, what was it all? What was happening? They were asleep, but their mind was still working and going. They believed collectively, okay, in this simulation. I guess you could say that they were thrown in, okay, but the mind created it. All right. What the man say, I'm here to free your mind, free, and he literally was made free once his mind was free. Then he could not be held in that space anymore. Had to let him go. Okay. He's garbage now to the system. All right. Okay, let's keep on going. Okay, which means that the underlying reality of the universe is mind, and the universe itself is mental. That is existing in the mind of what? The all. We shall consider this principle in succeeding lessons, but let us see the effect of this principle if it be assumed to be true. If the universe is mental in its nature, then mental transmutation must be the art of what? Changing the conditions of the universe. But what is the universe? Mental. So, what are we changing the conditions of? All right. The mind, along the lines of matter, force, and mind. So you see, therefore, that mental transmutation is really the magic, okay, of which the ancient writers had so much to say in their mystical works, and about which they gave so few practical instructions. If all be mental, then the art which enables one to transmute mental conditions must render the master what? The controller of material conditions, as well as those ordinarily called mental. Okay. See, this is where we get into this thing, so much about our outer conditions, the reflection of our inner conditions, and to change this, that, and the other, the mind, the mind, the mind, the mind. Okay, let's read that again. So you see, therefore, that mental transmutation is really the magic. Mental transmutation, alchemy here, mental. It is the magic, the mind, mental. Okay, of which the ancient writers, they had so much to say about it, but they didn't give a whole lot of instructions about it. Okay, if all be mental, then the art which enables one to transmute mental conditions. Let me see. Sometimes I gotta keep reading over again. If all be mental, then the art here, okay, which enables one to transmute mental conditions or change mental conditions, must render the master, the controller of material conditions, okay, as well as those ordinarily called mental co-creators here, who creates, okay, all right. I would say, think about that matrix thing, like I just said, that even though this was, like a construct here, without the mind of the people, To believe in it, it wouldn't work. To have bought into it, it wouldn't have worked. That's why when one was mind was set free, they were okay. We have to get rid of you. Okay, now now I said you're garbage now. Okay, but more so, you are a danger to the system because now you can set what other people's mind free. And then if other people's mind are set free, then this shit goes. This shit doesn't work anymore. Okay. As a matter of fact, none but advanced mental alchemists have been able to attain the degree of power necessary to control the grosser physical conditions. Isn't that something? As a matter of fact, none but advanced mental alchemists have been able to attain the degree of power necessary to control the grosser physical conditions, such as the control of the elements of nature, the production or cessation of tempests, the production and cessation of earthquakes, and the great physical phenomena. Now, that reminds me of the story of Yeshua in the Bible when they were on the boat and there was a storm. He down there sleeping, and they up there worried, and they're like, what you doing down here? And he came up, and what did he say? Okay, peace, be still. Okay, and the storm ceased. Some people say the Son of God. Okay, some people say God incarnate. Some people say, what do they say? What do they call him? What do they call him? Something master. Okay, um, I'm thinking of the word master spiritualist, but that's not it. Okay, well, it'll hit me. It'll come to me. I don't know. It's so simple. Okay, but he would have been considered a master. Okay, spiritual master. Okay, and what did he do? Be still. Said to the elements, be still. Now, I'm sure some of you all have experienced doing that before. It's raining, you wanted to stop rain, and something in you just, is able to stop it. Okay, and maybe even start it. All right. All right, that's not, let's just keep on going. But that such men have existed and do exist today is a matter of earnest belief to all advanced occultists of all schools. That the masters exist and have these powers, the best teachers assure their students, having had experiences which justify them in such belief and statements. These masters do not make public exhibitions of their powers. Okay, Yeshua didn't go up there. Oh, stop! Stop! You know what I'm saying? I am the master. No. Okay. He down there is chilling, sleep. Okay. Reminds me of a song in church. Whenever the Lord says peace, there will be peace. Peace, be still. All right, anyway. These masters do not make public exhibitions of their powers, but seek seclusion, okay, from the crowds of men. Why? In order to better work their way along the path of attainment. Okay. We mention their existence at this point merely to call your attention to the fact that their power is entirely mental. Peace, be still. Okay. No waving of the hand, no wand. Okay. No magic dust and magic powder. Right. You talk about magic. Okay. But then we talk about, okay, uh, it's not it in itself, which is quote unquote good or bad, which we just saw really is just the same thing. Okay. But it is the intention. The intention comes from what? The mind. What is your intention with how you're utilizing, how you manipulating the forces? Okay. But here we can see that even those things aren't necessary to be used, the tools. Okay, the cat of nine tails, whatever that people do, throw in a pot and cauldron, people's hair, and all of that type of shit. Okay. I'm not saying to go out there and do anything evil and wicked. Okay, but even those who have are in a space of you could say the I would think that from reading this, you could say that the people using the evil eye, just how their intention in them watching or looking and what they're wanting for you, it's entirely mental. Okay, but then this goes both ways. All right. and operates along the lines of the higher mental transmutation under the Hermetic principle of mentalism. The universe is mental, the Kybalion. Okay, all right. Okay. But students and Hermeticists of lesser degree than masters, the initiates and teachers, are able to freely work along the mental plane, okay, in mental transmutation. In fact, all that we call psychic phenomena, mental influence, mental science, new thought phenomena, etc., operates along the same general lines. For there is but one principle involved, okay, no matter by what the phenomena be called. The student and practitioner of mental transmutation works among the mental plane, transmuting mental conditions, states, etc., into others according to various formulas more or less um, efficacious. The various treatments, affirmations, okay, denials of the schools of mental science are but formulas, often quite imperfect and unscientific, of the Hermetic art. Let me see this again. Let me see. The student practitioner of mental transmutation works among the mental plane, transmuting mental conditions, okay, states, etc., into others, according to various formulas more or less efficacious. The various treatments, affirmations, denials of the schools of mental science are but formulas, often quite imperfect and unscientific, of the Hermetic art. The majority of modern practitioners are quite ignorant compared to the ancient masters, for they lack the fundamental knowledge upon which the work is based. Okay. Not only may the mental state, etc., of oneself be changed or transmuted by Hermetic methods, okay, but also the state of others may be and are constantly transmuted in the same way, usually unconsciously, but often consciously by some understanding the laws and principles in cases where the people affected are not informed of the principles of self-protection. All right, let me see. Now I'm gonna read again for myself. Okay. Not only may the mental states of oneself be changed or transmuted by Hermetic methods, but also the states of others may be changed by Hermetic methods and are constantly transmuted in the same way, usually unconsciously, but often consciously, by some understanding the laws and principles, in cases where the people affected are not informed of the principles of self protection. Damn. Okay. So that goes back to that scripture, what we talked about, okay, and that we read in here, okay, being tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine, by those who are stronger than oneself, okay, by those who what are informed, okay, by those who what understand the laws and principles, okay. The things that I've said these things in terms of like when I talk about laws, okay, games, rules, there are laws, okay, that you don't escape. Even the master, as we just read, doesn't escape it. Okay, they are able to not be as affected, okay, by it in comparison to people who are not masters or who aren't even fucking aware, okay, of these things. Okay, just being used any way, every which way. Okay, all right. And more than this, as many students and practitioners of modern mental science know, every material condition, depending upon the minds of other people, may be changed or transmuted according with the earnest desire, will, and treatment of person desiring change conditions or life. All right. Protection. One must protect themselves. Okay. So they are not, like we see the masters here. Okay. They're not gonna be no fucking pawn. they're gonna be a part of the game, playing it, not being played. All right. They are aware. They have the understanding of the laws and the principles. Okay. Consciously. Okay, consciously, they are consciously aware. This is how they are able to do it. They are consciously aware of the laws and principles. Okay, um, okay. Let me see. And more than this, as many students and practitioners of modern mental science know, every material condition, depending upon the minds of other people, may be changed. Every material condition may be changed or transmuted in accordance with the earnest desire, will, and treatments of person desiring change conditions of life. The public are so generally informed regarding these things at present, generally conform. Okay, that we do not deem it necessary to mention the same at length. Our purpose at this point being merely to show the Hermetic principle and our underlying all of these various forms of practice, good and evil, for the forces can be used in opposite directions according to the Hermetic principle of polarity. In this little book, we shall state the basic principles of mental transmutation, that all who read may grasp the underlying principles and thus possess the master key that will unlock the many doors of the principle of polarity. We shall now proceed to a consideration of the first of the Hermetic seven principles, the principle of mentalism, in which is explained the truth that the all is mind, the universe is mental. In the words of the Kybalion, we ask the close attention and careful study of this great principle on the part of our students, for it is really the basic principle of the whole Hermetic philosophy and the Hermetic art of mental transmutation. Chapter 4 is the all. Okay. All right. All right. None of the chapters are really, long. Okay. But just because they ain't long don't mean nothing. It's a lot of information to absorb. All right. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to read it. I'm getting a little heavy. Tongue is getting heavy from reading. All right. Chapter 4, the all, in quotes, under and back of the universe of time, space, and change is ever to be found what? The substantial reality, the fundamental truth. All right. This made me want some coffee. Okay. I'm not making any. All right. The Kybalion. Substance means that which underlies all outward manifestations. Okay. The essence, the essential reality, the thing itself, the thing in itself, etc. Substantial means actually existing, being the essential element, being real, etc. Reality means the state of being real, true, enduring, valid, fixed, permanent, actual, etc. Under and behind all outward appearances or manifestations, there must always be a substantial reality. Okay? Under and behind all outward appearances or manifestations, there must always be a substantial reality. This is the law. Like, this is law shit. This is the law. Get in. All right. Man considering, this is the law, man considering the universe of which he is a unit. Let me see something for a second. Okay. Let me see. Hold on. No, not this. Okay. Under and behind all outward appearances or manifestations, there must always be a substantial reality. Okay. All right. All right. This is the law. Okay. Man considering the universe of which he is a unit of the universe. A unit. Okay. Sees nothing but change in matter, forces, and mental states. He sees that nothing really is, but that everything is becoming and changing. Okay. Nothing stands still. Okay. We see this here. We learn about this in these principles. Everything is being born, everything is growing, everything is dying. The very instant a thing reaches its height, what happens? It begins to decline. All right. This is the law. Not the law is just somebody just saying somewhere and just written somewhere. We don't see no signs of it. Look, all day, every day. We see this. The law of rhythm here, or the way, or the Tao. Okay. But they say you're going to find these principles here in all of these religions or philosophies all over the earth. Okay. The law of rhythm is in constant operation. There is no reality, enduring quality, fixity, or substantiality in anything. Nothing is permanent but change. What do we say? Change is the only constant. We find this in Hinduism. What did it say earlier in the book? All of these principles you're going to find in all of the religions of the earth. Okay. He sees all things evolving from other things and resolving into other things, a constant action and a constant reaction, a constant inflow. We just went over this, okay? And a constant outflow, a constant building up and a constant tearing down, constant creation, constant destruction, birth, growth, and death. Nothing endures. The only thing that endures is change. Nothing endures but change. And if he be a thinking man, Lord help us today, ain't got a whole lot of that. Okay. He realizes that all of these changing things must be but outward appearances or manifestations. Okay. Of some what? Underlying power, some substantial reality. Okay. Some substantial reality, something that is real, that is substantial, this underlying power. All thinkers in all lands and in all times have assumed the necessity for postulating the existence of this substantial reality. Okay. All thinkers in all lands and in all times have assumed the necessity for this digging into this substantial reality, this underlying power. We're looking out, everything keeps going, death, resurrection, so on and so forth. Okay. In and out, up and down. Okay. It doesn't stop. It changes constant. What is this? What is making it do this? The law of rhythm, the Tao, the way, that from which all things originate here. Okay, all things in all lands have assumed the necessity. We got to talk about this. We got to figure this out. There is an existence of some kind of substantial reality or underlying power. We find this in religions. Okay, all right. All philosophies worthy of the name have been based upon this thought. Men have given to this substantial reality many names. Let's get into it. Okay. Some have called it by the term of what? Deity, under many titles. Yeah. Others have called it the infinite and eternal energy. Others have tried to call it matter, but all have acknowledged its existence, giving it different names. Okay. Some give it a term of a deity. You understand what that is? Under many titles. A God, this underlying force, this substantial reality that is causing this constant change. The Tao, the way, the rhythm, okay? The infinite and eternal energy, or some have called it what? Matter, but all have acknowledged its existence. Even the scientists have acknowledged its existence, calling it what? Matter or energy, possibly. All right. It is self evident. It needs no argument. It is self evident here. In these lessons, we have followed the example of some of the world's greatest thinkers, both ancient and modern, the Hermetic masters. Um, the Hermetic masters, and all have called this underlying power, this substantial reality, by the Hermetic name of, in all caps, the all, which term we consider the most comprehensive of the many terms applied by man to that which transcends names and terms. Okay. Like what does it say about the Tao? Baby, if you can describe it, it ain't the Tao. It transcends. Let me read that again. By the Hermetic name of the all, which term we consider the most comprehensive of the many terms applied by man to that which transcends names and terms. If you can describe it, that ain't it. If you can give it characteristics, that ain't it. Okay, we accept and teach the view of the great Hermetic thinkers of all times, as well as those illumined, the illuminated ones, okay, souls who have reached higher planes of being, both of whom affirm that the inner nature of the all is unknowable. Baby, if you can describe it one more again, that ain't it. Okay, the inner nature of the all is unknowable. This must be so, for not but the all itself can comprehend its own. Ain't that something? Okay. The inner nature of the all is unknowable. Okay, this must be so, for naught but the all itself can comprehend its own nature and being. Okay, excuse me. The Hermeticists believe and teach that the all in itself is and must ever be unknowable. Baby, you ain't gonna know it. You ain't. Okay. They regard all the theories, guesses, and speculations of the theologians and metaphysicians regarding the inner nature of the all of that is this and that, and thinks this way and that way, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, all right. They regard all the theories, guesses, and speculations of the theologians and metaphysicians regarding the inner nature of the all as what? But the childish efforts of mortal minds to grasp the secret of the infinite. Oh, you think so, huh? How? You cannot. Such efforts have always failed and will always fail. If you can describe it and give it characteristics and say what it is and what it ain't and how it think and what it be, then it ain't it. Such efforts have always failed and will always fail from the very nature of the task. One pursuing such inquiries travels around and around in the labyrinth of thought until he is lost to all sane reasoning, action. Okay? Got to be more careful, okay? One pursuing such inquiries. You think you're going to do it for it. Let's see what happened, okay? Travels around and around in the labyrinth of thought. It is never ending and forever searching for the truth, but never coming into the power thereof, okay? We find that in the scriptures. Forever searching for the truth, but never coming into the power and to the knowledge thereof, okay? You're going to fucking insane, okay, motherfucker. Okay, until he is lost to all sane reasoning, action, or conduct, and is utterly unfit for the work of life. You be fucked. You can forget it. You don't have the ability, the power to do so. He is like the how, the all. Think about that. The all. Think about the little bit of the all that you know. Really? Fucking lose your fucking mind. And it has happened. He is like the squirrel which frantically runs around and around the circling treadmill wheel of his cage, traveling ever and yet reaching nowhere. Then I just say it, it's in the scriptures. Forever searching for the knowledge there. I mean, searching for the knowledge thereof, for the power thereof, rather, but never coming into the knowledge of the truth. At the end, a prisoner still, probably more so, standing where? Just where he started. And still more presumptuous are those who attempt to ascribe the all. Come on, here it is. The personality, qualities, properties, characteristics, and attributes of themselves, ascribing to the all the human emotions, feelings, and characteristics, even down to the pettiest qualities of mankind, such as jealousy. God is a jealous God, mother. Susceptibility to flattery and praise. Worship and praise him now. Desire for offerings and worship. Got to give him a tenth. And all other survivals from the days of the childhood of the race. If you can describe it, it's got feelings and blah blah. That ain't it. Such ideas are not worthy of grown men and women and are rapidly being discarded. At this point, it may be proper for me to state that we make a distinction between, oh, here we go, this is my shit now, this is what I like. At this point, it may be proper for me to state that we make a distinction between what? Religion and theology, between philosophy and metaphysics. Religion to us means that institutional realization of the existence of the all. Institutional realization through institution of the existence of the all and one's relationship to it. Got to have a personal relationship. While theology, I mean, I'm just describing one religion, okay? While theology means the attempts of men to ascribe personality, qualities, and characteristics to it. That ain't it. Okay. Their theories regarding its affairs, wills, desires, plans, and designs, and their assumption of the office of middlemen, pastor, the priest, between the all and the people. The people are the all. Okay. Philosophy to us means the inquiry after knowledge of things knowable and thinkable. Okay, wait a minute. Philosophy to us means inquiry after knowledge. Okay, going after knowledge of things knowable and thinkable, while metaphysics means the attempt to carry the inquiry over and beyond the boundaries and into regions unknowable and unthinkable, and with the same tendency as that of theology. And consequently, both religion and philosophy mean to us things having roots in reality. Okay? While theology and metaphysics seems like broken reeds rooted in the quicksands of ignorance. Isn't that interesting? You would have thought it would have been the other way around with theology and religion. Isn't that interesting? Okay? Because what is religion? To us here, the Hermeticists here, it means what? The institutional realization of the existence of the all and one's relationship to it. It's just, okay, let me put it this way. The institutional relationship of the existence of the all and one's relationship to the all. But what is theology, which is so interesting? When I first read this, I would have thought it would have been the other way around, okay? As theology means the attempts of men to ascribe personality, qualities, characteristics, study of God. That makes sense. Now think about it, because that's what theology means, the study of God. Okay, to ascribe personality, qualities, characteristics to it. Their theories regarding its affairs, wills, desires, plans, and designs, and their assumption of the office of middlemen between the all and the people. That makes sense. Okay. The religion is just the institutionalized institutional realization of its existence, okay, and our relationship to it. While theology is giving it all kind of theology is given all kind of personality and whatnot to it. Okay, so nevertheless, let's get back. Okay, well, okay. While theology and metaphysics seem like broken reeds rooted in the quicksands of ignorance and affording naught but the most insecure support for the man, for the mind or soul of men. We do not insist upon our students accepting these definitions. We mention them merely to show our position. At any rate, you shall hear very little about theology and metaphysics in this lesson. Okay, so what does it say metaphysics is again? Let me see. We went over religion and theology. Philosophy is an inquiry after knowledge of things knowable and thinkable. Okay, questions. Okay, about what we know and what we think. Okay, the knowledge of things knowable and thinkable. Metaphysics is the attempt to carry the inquiry over and beyond the boundaries into regions, okay, and into regions unknowable and unthinkable, and with the same tendencies that of theology, given these definitions and qualities and all of that type of shit. Okay, so for the Hermeticists here, okay, these three initiates here, okay, the Hermeticists, we forget theology and metaphysics. You ain't gonna see none of that here. You okay? We do not insist upon our students accepting these definitions. Why, once again, theology and metaphysics seem like broken reeds rooted in the quicksands of ignorance, okay, and affording the most insecure support for the mind or soul of man, okay. At any rate, you shall hear very little about theology and metaphysics in this lessons. But while the essential nature of the all is unknowable, there are certain truths connected with its existence. Okay, it's unknowable, but there's some truths connected with it, which the human mind finds itself compelled to accept. And an examination of these reports from a proper subject of inquiry, particularly as they agree with the reports of the illumined on higher planes, into this inquiry, we now invite you. Oh, wow. Oh, only a couple more pages. Okay. All right. One, quote, that which is the fundamental truth, the substantial reality, this is the fundamental truth now, is beyond true naming. Once again, if you could put a name to it, that ain't it. Okay. But the wise men call it the all. Okay. The Kybalion. Quote, in its essence, the all is unknowable. Okay. The Kybalion. Quote, but the report of reason must be hospitably received and treated with respect. The Kybalion. Okay. The human reason who's regarding the all, and that without attempting to remove the veil of the unknowable. Now let's see here. Okay. All right. The human reason whose reports we must accept. Okay. So long as we think it all, as long as we think we got to accept it. Okay. Informs us as follows regarding the all. Okay. But at the same time, without even attempting to remove the veil of the unknowable. One, the all must be all that really is. Okay, the all must be all that really is. There can be nothing existing outside of the all, else the all would not be the all. I love it. Okay, like I said, if you can describe it, that ain't it. Okay, the all must be all that really is. The all must be all there really is. That makes sense. Okay. There is nothing else but the all. Okay. But think about what is the all? Okay. There can be nothing exists and nothing exists outside of it. Okay. We're not just talking about earth, the earth plane, we're talking about the all. Okay, there can be nothing existing, and I'm not just talking about the physical. Okay, there can be nothing existing outside of the all, else the all would not be the all. Okay, number two, the all must be infinite, but there is nothing else to define, confine, bound, or limit or restrict the all. It is infinite. Okay, there's nothing there to define it. If you can, that ain't it. To confine it, it cannot be confined. Look and think about the all. There, it can't be confined. It can't be bound. It can't be limited. It can't be restricted. Think about it. The all. It must be infinite in time or eternal. Okay, not everlasting necessarily, but eternal. Okay, it is infinite in time. Okay, or eternal. It must have always continuously existed, for it has always been and it will always be. For there is nothing else to have ever created it, and something can never evolve from nothing. Okay, this is where you like having the scripture in the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness rose upon the face of the deep, etc., etc. And then you go look into the now commodity is like it's just a replica of what has already has been, or what the all. How vast is the all? Even the replica is part of what the all. Okay, how vast is it? It is infinite. There is no binding it, restricting it, limiting it. And who would? Who could? Or what would and what could? Whatever possibly would or could, if you were to think that it was something, guess what? That's part of the all as well. Okay? It must be infinite in time or eternal. It must have always continually existed. But there is nothing else to have ever created it. And something that can never evolve, and something that can never evolve from nothing. And if it had ever not been, even for a moment, it would not be now. If it hadn't been before, it wouldn't be now. It has always been and will always be. It must continuously exist forever, for there is nothing to destroy it. And it can never not be, even for a moment, because something can never become nothing. Okay. It must be infinite in space. Okay, back to this. Even for a moment, because something can never become nothing. Okay, what do they say? It can only be transformed, changed, okay, into something else. Everything. Okay. It must be infinite in space. It must be everywhere. For there is no place outside of the all. And there's nothing outside of it. Okay. It cannot be otherwise than continuous in space without break, cessation, separation, or interruption. For there is nothing to break, separate, or interrupt its continuity, and nothing with which to fill in the gaps. I would think that there are no gaps. But even if so, that's the all. That's still the all. It's still a part of it. Okay. It must be infinite in power or absolute, for there is nothing to limit, restrict, restrain, confine, disturb, or condition it. It is subject to no other power. Why? Because there is no other power. Number three, the all must be immutable or not subject to change in its real nature, for there is nothing to work changes upon it, nothing into which it could change, nor from which it could have changed. It cannot be added to, it cannot be subtracted from, it cannot be increased. Thank you for the second thumbs up. It cannot be diminished, nor become greater or lesser in any respect whatsoever. It must have always been and must always remain what? Just what it is now, the all. There has never been, is not now, and never will be anything else into which it can change. It's no such thing. Why? Because it's the all. Ain't nobody doing spells on it like we're gonna do spells on the moon. Ridiculous. If you are yet and still, and your spell is part of the all. The all being infinite, absolute, eternal, and unchangeable. It must follow that anything finite, changeable, fleeting, and conditioned cannot be the all. Let me read that again. The all being infinite, it is absolute, it is eternal, it is unchangeable. It must follow that anything finite, changeable, and fleeting and conditioned cannot what? Be the all. If it is finite, if it is changeable, if it is fleeting and conditioned, it cannot be the all. And as there is nothing outside the all in reality, then any and all such finite things must be as nothing in reality. Okay, there's nothing outside of it. Any all such finite things must be as nothing in reality. If it is finite, okay, let me see. If it is fleeting, if it is changeable, it is nothing in reality. It doesn't exist, in other words. if it is finite, if it is changeable, if it is fleeting, if it is conditioned, it does not exist. No such thing. There's no such thing. Why? Because the all is infinite, absolute, eternal, unchangeable. And if it is the opposite of those things, then it is nothing in reality. In other words, there's no such thing. It doesn't exist. Now, do not become befogged nor frightened. We are not trying to lead you into the Christian Science field under cover of Hermetic philosophy. There is a reconciliation of this apparently contradictory state of affairs. Be patient. We will reach it in time. We see around us that which is called matter, which forms the physical foundation for all forms, right? Is the all merely matter? Not at all. Matter cannot manifest life or mind. And as life and mind are manifested in the universe, the all cannot be matter. Let me read that again. Matter cannot manifest life or mind. And as life and mind are manifested in the universe, the all cannot be matter. For nothing rises higher than its own source. Absolutely. Nothing rises higher than it. That's fucking impossible. Nothing rises higher than its own source. Right? Nothing is ever manifested in an effect that is not in the cause. Nothing is evolved as a consequent that is not involved as an antecedent. And then modern science informs us that there is really no such, look at this. And then modern science informs us what? That there really is no such thing as matter. Modern science. That what we call matter is merely interrupted energy or force. That is energy or force at a low rate of vibration. Boom shaka. There it is. As a recent writer has said, matter has melted into mystery. Even material science has abandoned the theory of matter and now rests on the basis of what? Energy. That everything is energy, not matter. Okay. Low rate of vibration. Remember the principle of vibration. Then is the all mere energy or force. Okay. Not energy or force as the materialists use the terms, for their energy and force are blind mechanical things devoid of life or mind. Life and mind can never evolve from blind energy or force. For the reason given a moment ago, what? Nothing can rise higher than its source. It's not even logical for something to rise higher than its source. Nothing is evolved unless it is involved. Nothing manifests in the effect unless it is in the cause. Okay? And so the all cannot be mere energy or force. For if it were, then there would be no such things as life and mind in existence. And we know better than that. For we are alive and using mind to consider this very question. And so are those who claim that energy or force is everything. What is there then higher than matter or energy that we know to be existent in the universe? What is there, what is there then higher than matter or energy that we know to be existent in the universe? What is there then higher than matter or energy that we know to be existent in the universe? Life and mind. Life and mind in all their varying degrees of unfoldment. Then you ask, do you mean to tell us that the all is life and mind? Yes and no is our answer. If you mean life and mind as we poor petty mortals know them, we say no. The all is not that. But what kind of life and mind do you mean, do you ask? The answer is living mind, as far above that which mortals know by those words, as life and mind are higher than mechanical forces or matter, infinite living mind, as compared to finite life and mind, infinite living mind, as compared to finite life and mind. We mean that which the illumined souls mean when they reverently pronounce the words spirit. Okay, all right. The all is infinite living mind. The illumined call it what? Spirit. All right. Oh, good stuff. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna stop now. Okay. Thank you to those who hung with me on that. Okay, you just get to read and it just tastes so good. All right, all right. Then it goes into the all is spirit. All right, why? Why are they saying in the next chapter that the all is spirit? Because the answer is living mind. Okay, what is in higher than matter or energy that we know to be existing in the universe? Life and mind. Higher than matter or energy, life and mind. Life in mind and all the varying degrees of unfoldment. Life, okay? The eternal, the forever, the everlasting. Life in mind and all their varying degrees of unfoldment. Then do you mean to tell us that the all is life in mind? Yes and no is our answer. If you mean life in mind as, oh, us poor pitiful mortals, no, then we say no. The all is not that, but what kind of life in mind do you mean? The answer is living mind, as far above that which mortals know by those words, as life and mind are higher than mechanical forces, okay, or matter, infinite living mind, as compared to finite life, mechanical force. Get up every day, go to work, take care of the children, take care of mechanical life. No, not that, but the infinite living and the infinite mind, the infinite living mind. This is the all. Okay. But what do the illumined souls mean? I mean, what do the illumined souls call it? The illuminated ones, the masters. Oh, ascended master. That's what I was looking for. The masters. What do they call it? Spirit. The all is infinite living mind. The illuminate ones, the masters. What do they call it? Spirit. All right, that's it. Thank you all so much for hanging with me. Okay. Thank you to those who have subscribed to my channel. I truly appreciate it. Appreciate your likes, comments, share, subscribe, so on and so forth. Thank you. And I appreciate those who are members of my Patreon. I got Virgo and Libra done today for December 2023. We'll get it up real soon. All right. Y'all have favor. Peace.